the rim. Garnett on the slam. Oh, here's a Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot!
Excuse me, I'm just looking for a little bit of gray, actually. I'm only looking for gray because I'm starting to connect things that I saw in the NBA a decade ago, personally, to what I'm watching right now. So this particular instance actually comes from 12 years ago in the 2010 season. This was a time when the Los Angeles Lakers were on top. They had been to the finals for 2 straight years. They were the defending NBA champions. They were heavily expected to work on a repeat, or at least be in the NBA finals. Kobe was being argued as the best player, had some MVP arguments, and nobody quite knew when the Lakers' reign atop the Western Conference was going to end. Butting at the bottom of that extremely competitive Western Conference was a team by the name of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Newly minted, the franchise had moved from Seattle. They really hadn't done much winning because it was a total rebuild. Traded Ray Allen, started over with Kevin Durant, then every single year after that just kept on drafting, kept on getting a little bit better. And I make it sound like some large amount of time, it really wasn't. This happened from 2007 offseason to where we are in 2010. By the time that came around, they'd already had their core: Ibaka, KD, Westbrook, Harden, very young, energetic, athletic guys with nothing to lose. They'd seemingly come out of nowhere. In this season, they were a 50-win team. In the seasons prior, they were a lotto team. Except now, Kevin Durant was the leading scorer in the NBA at 30 points a game. He was also an MVP candidate. And in the game the Lakers matched up with the Thunder, true, OKC only got 1, but 2 of those other matchups were only decided by 3 points. Still, there was no cause for concern. Lakers the 1st seed, Thunder the 8th seed. Ultimately, Oklahoma is way too inexperienced to do more than maybe get a game. However, if you're around from that time, you know this series got deadly close to going 7. KD was having a tough go of it, trying to score on Ron Artest. OKC was mostly just figuring out ways to be competitive, as Kobe Bryant after one of the games said they run like beer. So all in all, if it hadn't have been for a Gasol tip-in, we could have seen this go to a 7th game in Los Angeles where the defending champions, who were under a lot of pressure to repeat, could have went home in the 1st round. Not likely. What are the odds of a young Thunder team really sending Kobe Bryant home while he's at home in a Game 7? Very unlikely. But the fact that there was even a chance makes us remember that this series was scary. It was when the Thunder officially arrived. It was the official notice for the league that you were gonna have to deal with them for some time. And although this version of the Grizzlies has not met the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs just yet, in basically every matchup I've seen with Ja Morant and Steph involved, I get these Lakers and Thunders vibes. Except they're a tad bit scarier. I didn't believe for a second the Lakers could ever lose to the Thunder, and right now, I don't really believe that a healthy Warriors team could lose to the Grizzlies in a series. But the Grizzlies are not even the 8th seed. This is a weird season, obviously. Health and safety protocols, people injured. So it's not like the Grizzlies are 4th in a conference that has a healthy Clippers team and a healthy Nuggets, but that does not take away how good they've been and how much they've improved. It's not just Ja Morant. Dillon Brooks plays a role. Desmond Bane might win most improved player. They're getting contribution from young guys off the bench. And now they're in the midst of a 10-game win streak after their win against the Golden State Warriors. But it's not just the win streak and how they play other teams, it's specifically how they play Golden State every single time. And only Morant's 2nd game against Steph Curry, he scored 35 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, had 4 steals, threw some daggers in there, and took a playoff spot from the Warriors, who are not this year's Warriors. But for somebody who hadn't really even gone against Steph, and for a team that was so young, that was an impressive outing. And every time I see Ja go against Steph, it's not just him playing hard like he always does, he's trying to prove a point. Curry's been the best point guard in the league for quite some time. That's the guy you gotta go at if you want that title one day. That is what Morant does. So far out of 5 games played, Morant has won 2. He's averaged 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. And when I watch Memphis play this Warriors team, it doesn't feel like they're outclassed. There's no fear factor from the Grizzlies. Even in the last game they've just played. Golden State went on a massive run to come back. That is absolutely the point at which most teams fold against them, except Memphis just punched back equally as hard and ended up winning. It's a conflicting feeling. On one hand, I am looking at the Grizzlies like the 2010 Thunder, the young, wild, extremely talented team that still has some time to go, but can and probably will absolutely scare somebody's favorite team this year. If things hold the way they are now, they'll end up a 4th or 3rd seed, and at either of those spots, they're likely playing a team in the first round they're going to be able to handle. But then the second round will come around and they'll be forced to play one of either Phoenix or Golden State. If it held that way and they didn't end up having to play the Jazz again. Nobody yet actually expects them to beat the Suns or Warriors in a 7-game series, but the run that they're on this season makes it hard not to believe that they will have those expectations in maybe the next year or so. And I love where they're at, because with that line of reasoning, nobody really hates them yet. They're starting to get the identity of the team that talks a lot of trash throughout games. Some people, it's rubbing the wrong way. The rest of us who really like basketball love this. They clearly feel like they deserve respect. They're not just talking, they're backing it up with their play. However, you can also only exist in that sphere so long before the hate comes. And by my calculations, if they are to get to the second round and push the Suns or Warriors to 6 games, do some things in the offseason, the roster improves, the players on the roster improve, they'll probably come back next year with nothing less than conference finals expectations. And if they fall short of that, and they continue to fall short of that, that's how you go from a team that's beloved, which I believe they are right now, to a team that people truly expect something from and maybe aren't getting it. But for the time being, I just cannot get over the 2010 Lakers Thunder comparison when thinking about the 2022 Grizzlies and Warriors. They've got the young player that I truly believe is a future MVP. He's going against a player that in some ways has a crown right now, if for nothing else than being the best point guard in the league. Top of that title is the greatest shooter of all time. The Warriors at this moment are probably expected to get to the finals, and they're still in the middle of what I would call the Golden Dynasty, or at least they're trying to rekindle it. The Golden Dynasty has been going on since 2015. A lot of these guys on the Grizzlies weren't even in the league yet. Of course, that dynasty is taking a rest because of injuries, unfortunate circumstances, but now that they're healthy, they're picking up right where they left off, which makes me still call this the Golden Dynasty. However, the Memphis Grizzlies do not care. They don't care about Steph's stature. They don't care about the hot runs that Golden State can go on. They don't care how many championships they've won. Every time they play, they are competing against them as well as I've seen any team compete against them. So we've still got months to go. We can only hope that this playoff series actually comes to fruition, because the top of the West is kind of a mess. There can still be some shifting and we may miss it, but I believe the series can happen. I believe the Warriors will win, don't get me wrong. Fully healthy Golden State is very much, in my books, the champions, or the expected champions. But I want to see the Grizzlies scare them. Watching the Thunder come within a literal shot of having the Los Angeles Lakers against the ropes, that was chaos. That was supposed to be a 5-game series. We get this one, maybe people will come in and say, oh, healthy Golden State, they were missing Draymond in one of these games, and Klay wasn't fully yet healthy, Warriors in 5. But if Memphis can get this to 6 or 7, at that point, a lot of people will think they've truly arrived. In any case, Ja Morant is on the horizon. Desmond Bane is on the horizon. Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks. This squad just needs time. They need a couple of more pieces around them, and we really may watch Memphis rise. And for the record, this is more or less happening just as quick as it did with Oklahoma City Thunder. Ja got drafted in 2019. Here they are, top 4 in the West. KD drafted in 2007. By 2010, they were a 50-win squad that probably off the top of my head would have been 2nd or 3rd in the East. Memphis is here. They're exciting. And I believe Ja Morant is the perfect successor to Steph Curry as the NBA's best point guard.
Ja to the basket. He throws it down. Ja Morant.
3 seconds. He drives, banks, it in with 5/10 of a second. Timeout, Phoenix.
Avery Bradley with the deflection against Bang.